Okay, so we're done with the O2C and we'll start and finish fixed assets. After completing FA, we'll just look at cash management. Okay, because since this is a new environment, once again we configure. So within this environment, the current environment, we don't have transactions from payables and to receivables. From payables, we don't have payments information. From receivables, we don't have receipts. So because of that reason, we'll proceed with the fixed assets. Before we complete the fixed assets, I'll keep payments and the receipts information, the payables, and I'll get ready with that information so that after FA we can test cash management. Okay, so now we'll see the configuration for fixed assets. So we know very well in EBS we have three key flex fields: category, location, asset key. The same remain here, and the functionality how it works in EBS, the same behavior they given for the key flex field. The behavior in the sense, so we know in EBS fixed assets, by using any key flex field, it could be category, location, or asset key, we can create only one chart of account structure, and those structures you can use as a one-time setup by using the system controls. The same is applicable here. You can use only one category or one location, one asset key flex field structures in Fusion also, but they given the flexibility of creating more than one. Finally, you can use only one. You can create more than one, but you can use only one. So finally, this is equal to EBS, how it works. When you are creating, it will allow you to create more than one, but system will make sure that only one active structure we are going to have within the environment. Okay, this number of segments and qualifiers, etc., remain same. Of course, qualifiers we are calling flexible qualifiers as labels, so that everything is remain same as EBS. Okay, but only that point we have to understand. So this may help us to do some practice. In case of EBS, in the fresh instance only you can create the category, location, asset key flexible structures. If it is already implemented environment, you cannot create more than one. But think here you got a flexibility of doing multiple structure definitions. Against that instances you can create, but finally you can use only one. We'll just go through that so that we can get some understanding what we are trying to do here. Okay, first we'll go and create the value sets, locations, asset keys. Just for our understanding, we are going to create. Finally, these we cannot use. Since this is a Vision instance, already definitions are done. The one-time setup also completed as a system controls by selecting the category, location, asset key, structure instances. Fine. So fine. So just to have a kind of some testing, what we'll do is we'll go and create the two segments for category key flex field. So for the general, what we use is major and minor. Okay, major and minor segments will create for category, and the same way for location also. Let's create country. The segments means we have to create the value sets for that. So state, let's create city. Just this is enough. Anyway, this we cannot use, just for testing. Asset key, directly you can have a segment called asset key. Okay, we'll just go and create these value sets, okay, for these three key flex fields, and we'll create the structures for these three key flex fields, and we'll create the structure instances, and we'll see how to add the values. Then anyway, we know how to add the values to any value set. The same. Fine. Now first we'll go and create the value sets for category key flex field. So search for fixed assets, flex field, so flex field value sets. Okay, the task name is manage fixed assets flex field value sets, or else you can use manage chart of accounts value set. That task also you can use. There you have to choose that application, I mean the structure as a FA related structure. That's how you can find the flex field and you can create the structures. Otherwise you have a separate task, okay, to create the value sets for fixed assets also. Just click on this task. So we have all the tasks in the sequence. First value sets, then structure definitions, structure and instance deployments. After that, system controls, the physical years definition and the calendars, depreciation calendar definition, prorate conventions, and asset book definition. Finally, we'll create the category. So all we have in the sequence and all the whatever we are discussing, those are mandatory setups, right? So just click on go to task icon. So we want to create the value set for category key flex fill. As we discussed, two segments, two value sets we want to create, since we are going to have a two segments. Fine. Say create. So provide the name. We'll say Google major category value sets. Just write it as a major category. So module you have to select as a assets. Just click on LOB. Select application name as a fixed assets. So validation type, say independent. It's a major category. Value set independent. Then select value data type. Say character. So value subtype, say text. You can specify the maximum length. Say you want to write the major category names with max 20 character size or say 30 character size. Then say save and close. And we'll create one more value set for minor category. Just say save and close. Just click on create. So it's a minor. So the application name is assets. And select validation type as dependent. So we are creating minor category. We can make it as a dependent on major category value set or values. So character. So if it is a dependent value set, this depends on which independent value set that we have to specify. So give all the specification, value set, value subtype, and maximum length. The same we can give 30 characters. And here we have to specify this will depend on which independent value set. This is what we do in EBS also, same. Just set up point of view, no difference. So Google major category. Select and say OK. Fine, done. So save and close. So we created two value sets for category key flex field. Now we'll go and create three value sets for location. Click on create. Say Google country value set to use in the location key flex field structure. So module is assets. Select validation type as independent value set. So value data type is character. Subtype is text. And here you can specify the maximum characters you can give for country name. Say 20 and say save and close. Done. The next value set is state. Just click on create. Name you can give as a Google state. Select module as a assets. If you want to have a filtration of the values, you can make this value set as a dependent so that you can give the country as a independent value set for this, or else this also you can go with a independent one. How you want to manage the values, how you want to have a filtration or control on the values, accordingly we'll choose it, you know that. So just you may make it as independent or dependent. If it is a dependent, you have to specify the which is independent value set for this. Select text and give the maximum size to enter the state names, say 20. So save and close. And for location key flex field structure, we have one more value set required, that is city. Click on create. So write the name as Google city. Just copy and paste. Select module as a assets. Validation type is say independent. Value data type is character. Value subtype is text. So maximum length is 20 characters. So save and close. Done. So we'll create one value set for asset key. Click on create. So give the name as Google asset key. Select application name as assets. And the validation type is independent. And value data type is, you can select character. value subtype is text, and the maximum length, this you can say 20 characters, and say save and close. Okay, done. So we created value sets for these three key flex fields, and now we'll go and create the structures. Within the structures we can have the relevant segments, and we'll be associating these value sets to the same. Okay, first we'll go and create the category key flex field structure. So task name is manage fixed assets key flex fields. Click on go to task icon. So we want to create structure for category key flex field. So search the term called as category. Okay, from this page you can find any key flex field, even accounting key flex field or any key flex field. But just for navigation wise, they given manage asset, fixed assets key flex fields. You can search for anything. So category flex field. So click on manage structures. Then say create. Fine. So the structure code we can give as Google. And before that, just we'll check which key flex will which structure is exist. So since the vision environment as a part of vision definition, already Oracle created one category flex field structure that you can see. Search and define. So already Oracle created asset category flex field, and this is selected as a part of the system control setup also. Now if you disable it, then only system will allow you to create one more. For finally you can only one enabled structure, you can have only one structure you can use for fixed assets application. But if you try to create new one, some test. Just try to save it. System give you the message. So you must enter no more than one enabled structure. Okay, so that's how it behaves. So it's just for testing purpose, practice purpose, we are doing this setup. So what we'll do is what Oracle created as a part of Vision instance, we'll go and disable it, and we'll create our own structure. Once we're done with that, we'll enable again this, and only this we can use as a part of the system process since already selected in the system control setup. Okay, just to test the structure definition, the existing one, we will go and disable it. So just click on edit. So the structure is already enabled. Disable and say save and close. Now system will allow us to create another active structure. Or else when you are creating, you just directly create, you disable and you create it. It's not, you are not enabling structure, just you are creating. Anything you can do. Fine. Done. Say Google category. So flex field select delimiter, nothing but segment separator, and say save up to the structure definition so that system will allow us to create the segments. Just click on save. Okay, just click on create segments. So as we created value sets major and minor, we'll create the two segments. So major category segment. Just about same name system will take as the API name. The rest you can fill. It's going to be first segment. So display width. So you can give 30 characters. So in case of EBS, when you create the category, how many segments you can create? You can create max 7. The same is applicable here. So 7 segments you can create by using the category key flex fill. The same rule is applicable. The number of segments, no change respective to fixed assets or any other application. So select value set which we created for category major category. So that is Google major category value set. So major, say okay. And assign segment label called as major category to major category segment. Then say save and close. We have to create one more segment within the category key flex field. Say create. So segment name you can give as minor category. Just copy the name. And sequence is 2. Prompt should come same. Say 30 characters. And column name is segment 2. Select value set. So value set we created as a Google minor category. Select same value set. Say okay. So minor category. Select. So save and close. So now you can say save and close. Done. So we created structure for category flex field. Now we'll create the structure for asset location. Okay, for location key flex field. So this we created. Category. Now we'll go and create the location key flex field structure. So search for location key flex field. So manage structures. And since this is a vision instance, you can find one define structure for location. So asset location flex field, since we are creating one more structure, even you cannot use it just for practice purpose, what you can do is you can disable which is already being used. Just you can disable it, so that system will allow us to create one more active structure. Once we done with the testing, we'll just come back to this and we'll enable and we'll use in the process. Okay, so say create. You can give the name as Google location flex. Select delimiter segments updater for location segments and say save. So that system will allow us to create the segments within the location flex field. Done. Click on create segments. Fine. So you can type the name, country, so first segment within the structure, display with 20 characters. So the location segment, location key flex field also, we can create max 7 segments in case of EBS. Same rule is applicable here. For category or location, 7 segments max. So select segment as a 1 and select default value set whatever we created for country. The name we given as a Google country. Search and select. Select, say OK. And anyway, segment label is not required for country, so we may assign state level to track the property tags. So say save and close. The next segment as we planned is we have to create state segment. Click on create. You can give the name as state. Second segment, display width say 20 characters. The segment number is 2. Select value set. So value set name is Google state value set. So assign segment label called as state to state segment. So save and close. We have to create one more value set, one more segment called city. Right, we create the country and state. So what are the setups we are doing? Those we can generally you can do only in the fresh instance once the setups are done. So in one instance for the structure you cannot create in case of EBS, but here they're given the flexibility to create, but finally you can use only one structure. So segment name is city. Then copy the name and take wherever it is required. So it's going to be third segment. say 20 characters. Select default value set. The value set name is Google City. And say save and close. Done. So we created structure and segments, and we associated value sets to respective segments. Now just we're done for location. We have to create the asset key flex fill structure. We'll go and do it. So save and close. Click on done. Now search for asset key flex fill. So we know very well this is optional, right? Asset category and location are mandatory segments, mandatory flex fields in for fixed assets, but asset key is optional one. At least to complete the setup called as system controls. To complete these setups, at least you have to create one dummy structure for asset key. The process wise it's optional, but to complete the setups it's a mandatory. So asset key, we can see the name as asset key flex field. Just click on manage structures. For asset key also already Oracle created one structure as a part of Vision instance that you can see, and we have to disable it if you want to create one more enabled structure for our just practice purpose. So asset key flex field, it's already enabled. We'll go and disable it. So before we go with the transaction part, we'll come back to this and we'll enable, since these only already associated in the further configuration. Disable, say save and close. Fine, say create. Structure code we can give as a Google asset key. Select delimiter and just save up to this information. Okay, structure level information, you can save it. Then it will allow us to create the segments. Now click on create segment. So we created only one value set, and we can have one segment here, say asset key. Copy the name. Anyway, system will copy the same code as a API name. The rest of fields you can fill with the same name. Sequence is 1, prompt is same, short prompt also same. So display with this 20 characters. So we have a 20, we can find 10 segments. Okay, for category key flex fill in EBS, same applicable here also. So max 10 segments you can create. So default value set code. So we created a value set called as Google Asset Key, right? That you can associate with this segment. Say save and close. So save and close. So click on done. So we created structures for three key flex fields. Now for the three key flex fields structures, we have to create the instances. For each structure, we have to create the instance. The instance logic is applicable for fixed assets also, same as our GL accounting flex field. In the further setup process, you can use instances only, not structures. Even we created chart of account structure for GL, and against the structure we created instance only we already used in the primary ledger definition. The same way here, directly you cannot use the structures. For each key flex field structure, you have to create the instance to use in the further setup process, finally in the transaction process. Fine. So now we'll go and create the instance for category key flex field structure. So here search for category key flex field structure. So already we created a structure, we'll go and create the instance. Say manage structure instances. Just say create. Fine. Your structured instance name we can give as Google category instance, or you can write as a flex field. It's reality instance only, but it's an instance for flex field, key flex field, right? So API name system will copy the same code, the rest you can fill. Now we want to create the instance for category against which structure. Select that structure. So select Google category flex field, flex. So what are the segments we have within this Google category flex structure? Those segments will get defaulted here. You have to mark them as a required into this instance. Select major category segment, click on edit. Select as required and say OK. And select minor category. Just click on edit. Just enable as required. Say OK. And say save and close. Just click on save and close. So we created instance for category key flex field. Just click on that. Now we have to submit this category key flex field structure and instance for deployment purpose. Okay, we have to the category flex field, the structure and instances what we created, those we have to deploy. You could see deployment status as edited. So now we have to submit category flex field for deployment. So just click on deploy flex field. Won't take much time. The reason is we have just two structures under two instances. Done. Just say OK. Fine. Now we'll create the instance for location key flex field. So you could see the status as deployed, right? So search for location flex field. And already we created structure. Now we have to create the instance for location flex field. Click on manage structure instances. So create. Say Google location flex field instance. You don't need to write instance within the name. So take the same name as same code as a name and description. And we want to create the location flex field instance against which location flex field structure. Google location flex field structure. Select. That system will default the segments which are available within this structure. So you select one by one as required. Select country, click on edit, and just mark it as a required. This segment is required in instance. Yes, we required in the instance only. That is the reason we created as a structure. So say OK. Select state, click on edit. Say OK. And select city. Just click on edit. Say required and just click on OK. So we created instance for location flex field structure. Say save and close. Now what we have to do is the location flex field we have to submit for deployment. Here just click on done. So we created location key flex field structure and instance. Those are available in the location flex field. The location flex field we have to submit for deployment. You could see status as edited. Just click on deploy flex field. Just say OK. Fine, done. It's deployed, right? So we have one more key flex field called as asset key. So search for asset key flex field. So within that asset key flex field, we created a structure. Now we have to create the instance against the same structure. So click on manage structure instances. And click on create. Say Google asset key flex field. Just provide name and description. Now we want to create instance against the structure. Select structure name, Google asset key, flex field structure. So only one segment we created, the same system will default here, that you have to mark as required into instance. Mark it as required, say okay. Then say save and close. Just click on done. Finally, we have to submit this asset key flex field for deployment. So within the asset key flex field, we have a structure and instance defined. So now submit this asset key flex field for deployment. Here you could see the status as deployment as edited. You have to make sure that the status is deployed. So click on deploy flex field. Okay, say okay. Click on done. Fine, we created instances for three key flex field structures. Done. Now we have to create the segment values for those three key flex field related segments. We'll do it a bit later. Now we'll go with the system controls. Okay. So which is a one-time setup for entire instance level, right? So system controls, because this is one-time setup, so we have to use single chart of account structure in case of EBS. Here only single instance for one instance. So go to system controls. Search for system controls. Here you could see the next task is manage system controls. Click on go to task icon. So this is a one-time setup. In this instance, as a part of Vision, this setup is already completed. You cannot change these values. So already category flex field structure instance is selected. Location flex field structure is instance is selected. Asset key flex field structure instance is selected. These three are selected. Asset number also specified. Only if you want to change, you can change the name, enterprise name to maybe Google Corporation. And rest is all already selected. You cannot change it. Now just make sure that these instances are active in this environment. Even if you create some other instances for category location asset key, no use. You cannot replace, you cannot overwrite. Just for practice purpose we did that setup, otherwise no use. Okay, so this setup already, one time setup is already completed. Now since we are going to use only these setups, so just go and enable the structures. Reality, the against the structures, instances are created. Instances only we use as a part of the system definition, but still to keep that setups active, we can go and enable which are already created by Oracle as a part of instance. But whatever we created, treat those just for understanding purpose with it. If you are going to do, if you are going to configure the fresh environment, so the same setups we have to execute whatever we did now, right? So we'll go and activate, we'll go and enable the structures which we disabled. Go to manage structures. Search. So disable Google category flexible. Even if you enabled and the instance is available, no use. You cannot use it. Only one you can use. That is already created being used. That is asset category flexible. Right. So whatever we created just for practice purpose, that you can disable and you can enable the existing definition. Disable it. So save and close. Select. Say enable. Enable it. So save and close. Just to understand what are the value set names they given for these two segments. In the category asset category flex field, we have two segments: major category, minor category. So because we have to add the values for major and minor category for our testing purpose, for that reason you can just go and verify the value set names. Select segment, click on edit. So this is the value set name which they used. For minor category segment, the value set name is FA minor category. Let's see that. Just FA minor category. So save and close. Since we did these changes, we have to submit for deployment. So deployment status is edited. Submit for deployment. Okay, the same we have to repeat for location and asset key flex fields. So we got a confirmation. Say okay. Search for location. So go to structures. Search. So disable what we created just now and enable which is already exists. Select, click on edit. Disable. So save and close. So select asset location flex field, which is predefined definition as a part of user instance, not in the fresh instance, right? So enable it. Within this, we have four segments. So we don't need to check for the value sets. We can expect the values are available for all the segments. The same we can use in our testing process. And now we have to submit this definition for deployment. Say okay. Done. We have one more flex field called as asset key. Just click on search. Go to manage structures. Just click on search. So disable Google asset key flex field structure. So save and close. And select asset key flex field. Click on edit and enable it. Say save and close. And this asset key flex field we have to submit for deployment. So click on done. Click on deploy flex field. Okay, done. So we just done with this all. The system controls also we have seen. So one-time setup for instance, for entire instance. So value set segment values for three key flexible not required for location asset key. Already values are predefined. For category also we have, but those values might have used for the certain category combination definition. So just we'll go and create one or two major category values and minor category values. Those we can use in the further configuration. So go to this value set. So here is the task, right? Manage fixed assets flexifield value sets. So find the value set, which value set is part of category key flex field structure. Search for the value set. Just click on manage values. Now click on search. You can find many major category values which are defined as a part of vision definition. Fine. So you could see here major categories values. So buildings, computers, equipment, expense, pictures, furniture, land, vehicles. So just will create one or two values which we can use in our testing process. Just click on add. You can write the name as Google Buildings. That's all. This is how you can list out a number of major category names. Say save and close. And we'll add two values to minor category also. Minor category value set. From the major category value set, it should be uppercase. That's what system is expecting. Say Google Billings. Say save and close. Done. Now search for value set called as FA minor category. So minor category is dependent on major category, right? So values, when you define that dependency, you have to specify. So FA minor category, click on manage values. Click on search, you can see all the minor category values. Okay, I will create 2 3 values to use in our testing process. Just say create. So after clicking on create, scroll little up, you could see the space which system open. So you can say so we given the major category name as buildings. So the buildings you can classify. Those you can take as a minor values. Google say office buildings. And this minor value will depend on which measure of independent value. So this Google Office building should comes under Google Buildings. So Google Buildings is independent value. Under that we will have these Google Office buildings as a dependent values. The same we will go and create one more value. So we have a scenarios to test. We need more than one category. So length is exceed 20 characters. It is allowed up to 20 only. No issues. We'll give as office. That means nothing but office buildings only. Click on add. Scroll up. You could see the space which system is opening. Say Google shopping complexes. So this value will be under which independent value? Google buildings only. These two falls under buildings. Office buildings and shopping complexes or residential buildings, whatever you create, all should fall under Google buildings, which is independent value, which we created within the major category value set. Just click on LOV. Just not responding. Just 1 second. Google Shopping. Select independent value as a Google Buildings. Say save and close. Then click on save and close. Then for location and everything, we have values as a part of vision definition. The same we can use whenever we require the location combinations. Fine. So values also we have ready for category, location and asset key. We have a predefined values. The same we can proceed. Now we have to create the physical year definition, or say physical year calendar. So we know it's all about year ranges for existing assets. So we'll just go on to define it. The task name is manage physical years. Click on go to task icon. So say create. And physical year name we can provide as a Google physical. The same you can write as a description. To create the physical years here, the name and description you have to save first. Then system will open this create icon. Now click on create. So this physical years will start from say 2016. Enough just for a testing. You can start from here. This physical year start date and end date. This year start date and date. So month, date, year. There is a example sample data they are showing month, date, and a year. Month John, date first and 16, and end date for that year. So month first December, date ends with 31st, and year 16. Just save this definition. In case of EBS, if you use the down arrow, automatically system generates rest of physical years. I mean, you can create as many as you want. Here, after saving one record, what you could do is click on add row. Automatic will add next year. Again, click on add. So this is also you can add the multiple physical years into your physical year calendar. Just enough up to 2020. Okay, and say save and close. Now we have to create calendar, the asset calendar, or you may call as a depreciation calendar. We know one rule in EBS also. The depreciation calendar, whatever you create within the period what you define, that should be same as our accounting calendar period name. Otherwise you cannot transfer this information to fixed GL, right? As a depreciation data you cannot transfer to GL. and you could say FA implementation is failed also. So before we go and create our asset calendar or depreciation calendar, we'll go and verify how the period names we have in our accounting calendar. Okay, we'll go and check it. That's very important, right? So